All right. Good afternoon, everyone. How's everyone doing? This is Dr. Love Socking. If you're joining this stream, just wanted to welcome you. I know that some of you who have been subscribers. Actually, um, if you've been following me, I used to be Love Socking Music, but now I am Dr. Love Media. So if you're a subscriber, you've checked out some of my guitar gear, some guitar reviews, some of the videos. Hey, it's the same me, different name, and we're going to start doing something where we call it essentially. It's going to be Sunday Fun Day with Dr. Love, and I'm going to be talking about anything from studio gear, guitar gear, reviews of stuff, maybe techniques, maybe plugins, maybe talking about DAWs. If you don't know what a DAW is, let me know. Maybe, discussing some questions and things that maybe you want to talk about. So we're going to keep it loose and live. When you go live, it's something that you don't know what's going to happen, but I got some soda here just to help me give me some energy here. But yeah, welcome. Hopefully, we'll have some people joining in and we'll be able to get some more people involved here. And so let's look at this. Let me just see here, waiting for just to see if there's anyone coming on here. And again, just join me. I'm going to try to do this every Sunday afternoon, maybe Sunday evening, depending on my schedule and what's going on. And, let me just check here. Just want to make sure we're getting enough volume. Maybe if you're watching, let me know if it's loud enough. But hey, I just wanted to talk about studio tools. Do they matter? Sometimes we wonder if all the fancy gear and the things that we see in catalogs and in the music stores really make all the difference, whether it's instruments, or microphones or cables or picks or pedals. If I'm a guitar player, so everyone's always saying, well, this pick is great, this capo is better, it's going to make you a better player, make you more efficient. There's everyone giving different ideas about what it means to be a studio engineer, what it means to be a professional guitar player. Everyone has their own techniques. But hey, what does it really matter in the studio? What kind of gear? I've been going through a season where I've actually been uh, upgrading my gear and going through the process of looking at my studio gear and trying to upgrade it as needed. And it's funny, you get used to your old gear. And let me show you some. This is what have been using for years. Maybe you even have it. This is an Apogee Duet. I think this is actually Duet 2. I might be wrong. Maybe some of you that are Apogee users would know. I got this maybe almost 10 years ago. So it might be the Apogee 1 actually. But Apogee, it's a 2-channel, basically audio interface. And for recording, it's been great because, if you know anything about Apogee, with this little 2-channel interface, you can record, your voice. It's really for a singer-songwriter if you want to just record your voice, playing guitar. At the same time, you can just use this and it will do the trick. If you have a microphone and an input for your guitar, it's perfect for that. And the thing about Apogee, if you know anything about Apogee, they're world famous for their analog to digital, digital to analog converters. And even though these aren't their best converters, that which translates the analog signal that you send in and it translates it to your headphones, to your monitors with the digital to analog conversion. They're not their best ones, but it really sounds good. And I use this for years with different things, you know. And I wanted to upgrade so that I could actually, record more. So I actually upgraded to an Apollo, uh, and I was trying to figure out which one to go for. Should I go for the big one of the XPs with the 8 channels, or should I go for the smaller ones with the Apollo 2-channel ones, or they have a 4-channel one, or they have a 6-channel one? I ended up going with the Universal Audio XP8, which is 8 actual physical preamps, and I wanted to do that so when I do get a bigger space. Right now, I'm in my studio. It's probably about 10 by 10. It's small, but it works for what I do. But if I can get it into a bigger space, or if I ever need to have 8 channels, I can take that universal audio. It's in my rack right now, actually right behind my computer. Another day I'll show you maybe another angle. But I wanted to upgrade to that and spend a decent amount of money to really upgrade from this to a rack mounted 8 channel pre, so that with preamplifiers, if you don't know what that is, we can talk about that. Hopefully you do if you're watching, and be able to record a drum set, record, multiple vocalists and multiple instrumentalists at the same time, just to having the option and the headroom for that. Because from what I understand, when I've watched some of the different Universal Audio product videos, if you're familiar with that, I'm sure you are, if you're into studio gear and you have your own home studio, or you work in a studio, Apogee, I'm sorry, Universal Audio, um, their plugins are great, but you have to buy their hardware, like what I did with the Apollo XP, with the ability to record multiple signals, more than two, 8 at the same time. I also have a Focusrite Scarlett i8, which has 8 preamps, and that's kind of more a mid-range, you know, um, preamplifier, which has 8 channels to you, so I can plug in, enough channels. I've actually recorded a drum set with it. It's pretty good, but do the studio tools matter? Is this good enough for what I need? Maybe if you're a singer songwriter and just starting out, this is pretty good. This is roughly, I think, of about $500 when I bought it originally. The Universal Audio is a lot more because it's for real professional studio environments. Is there a difference in the sound and clarity? Let me be the first one to tell you. After loving the Apogee quality, the Universal Audio, I can hear with my new recordings, and even when I dumped in a song that I had recorded and mixed in Logic. I use Logic Pro, as many of you do. But even though I had recorded using another audio interface, I dumped it into Universal Audio, used some of the plugins in Logic, and applied it. And boy, it sounds even better. It sounds even better, with the analog to digital conversion, and the digital back to out to analog that you hear in your speakers and your headphones. And when I bounced it out to be a wave file that I could listen to in my car and on my phone, it sounds way better. So is there a difference in studio tools? Yeah, this is great, but going to a higher level, spending more money for a better audio interface like the Universal Audio, for example, you can really hear the difference. Now, to the common listener, it might be very subtle. If you're new into recording yourself, you might not be able to tell the difference because your ears aren't tuned yet. But for those of you that have been recording for maybe years and are in a studio, or maybe you have a UA, a Universal Audio product, and you've used their plugins, man, it sounds really pretty amazing. It sounds different. Even the new recordings that I'm doing now, boy, they sound great. So studio tools do matter. How about microphones? I for a long time, many of us, if you have a small collection, I have a small collection of microphones. I have dynamic microphones, like an SM57 or an SM58, which is pretty much standard on stages all across the world and in studios. And those are great. Those are like $100 mics, but they sound really solid and great. And they've been used for, decades in studios, to everything from miking guitar cabinets, from, even for, on the president's podium, there's some SM57s, a couple of them, right? You can use them on snare drums. I've seen people use them on toms. You can use them on anything. But does it matter to have the right tools? Yeah, it does. If you're going to be recording a voice or an acoustic guitar or a violin in more of an acoustic environment, then you need something a little bit more able to capture the sound. For example, like a large diaphragm condenser mic. This is a diaphragm condenser mic. This is from a company called Octava, and this model is an Octava uh, MK319. And I'll show you. I even have the bag here. Octava. So, and I got this a while back, a long time ago, and this was maybe probably about $120, I think, brand new. It's a large diaphragm condenser, which means as the capsule in there is large, and it's omnidirectional, so it can capture a wide field of sound around it. And usually use this for acoustic instruments. You use it for voice. I've used it for overheads on drums when I'm recording, and it's really good. It sounds really good. But does it really matter if I buy this or a higher level, you know, condenser mic? Well, my go-to for so many things is this AKG 414. Let me show you the back there. And this is the 414B, which has a slightly different EQ attenuation, which is really made for acoustic instruments. I use this all the time for recording acoustic guitar. Actually, I use both of these in tandem, and it sounds really great. If you can set them up properly so that close enough, or so I've seen people set up mics like this, in a pattern like this, so there's no phasing issues, so the different frequencies don't cancel each other out. But this is a great mic. Now, how much is this mic? The value of this mic, I think I saw brand new, like on sweetwater.com or on Guitar Center. It's probably like, it's over $1,000, right? And I think I got this on eBay, maybe 10, 12 years ago for maybe like $600, something like that, with the case. And it comes with uh, um, a pop filter that you can put onto the stand. It comes with a nice cover, foam cover, if there's a situation where you're recording outside. But this is great, and it really makes a difference. I just recorded some acoustic guitar, and boy, it just sounds fabulous. It has different patterns here, so you can actually, if it runs on phantom power, with your digital audio workstation, you can press, turn on the 48, 48K, so it'll turn this on and run phantom power. But there's a pad here, so if your source is really hot, it's really loud, you can lower it, all the way from, leave it at 0 decibels where it's just flat, or all the way down to 18 decibels if needed. But then you could also take out some of the low end. For example, when you're recording acoustic guitar, you never want to aim it at the sound hole. But sometimes, if you're recording like a jumbo acoustic or a bigger acoustic, which just has a big sound, you want to take some of that low end out. So this actually has a low cut here. You can just keep it at 0 to just keep everything flat and just record all the low end, or you can cut out at 40 hertz, 80 hertz, or even all the way up to 160 hertz. So this is just a great tool, Swiss Army knife almost, that you can use. I've used it on vocals. It sounds great, captures so much detail, and it sounds great on acoustic guitar and any acoustic instruments. I've used this for violin. I've used this on flute. It just really captures. There's just something about this AKG. AKG is German made, I believe, and it's just a really quality, amazing tool that is world famous. So the old ones of this model are very expensive, and they're hard to find. And a lot of people buy these in matched pairs, for a couple $1,000, and they sound great together. But this matters. This sounds better than this on vocals. I've used this for vocals. It sounds okay. It sounds a little tinny, the way that it's set up. This just sounds amazing. And of course, as I said, you can roll off some low end, so there's not too much low end rumble. And you can even set it, if you have a really hot source, it's a really loud instrument, you can dial it back for what it accepts. And it also has different polar patterns. If you see that, if you're not familiar with the 414, there's different ways, different cardioid. You can make it even a really broad omnidirectional, all the way to where it's just focused everything that's kind of right around here, super cardioid, and you can switch back and forth. Great mic. Does this tool matter? Does this sound better than this? Oh yeah, sounds a lot better. Sounds a lot better. But just as an interest, a song that I just am probably going to release in a little while. I actually recorded a drum set just with these two mics, and I had a great drummer, a buddy of mine, Phil Long, and he had this amazing. I forgot if it was a Ludwig or a Gretsch, uh, amazing drum kit that he had, acoustic kit. And we just went out of his basement, and I think I put this as an overhead on the snare side over the hi-hat. And this, I think I put this towards the kick. I might have had it reversed. I'm not sure which one, but I just used these two mics, and you know what? It captured an amazing live acoustic kit, which I mixed down, and I actually had to, add some drum replacement, or mix in some kick from a sample and some snare from a sample, just to fatten it up a little bit. But the raw track sounded amazing. But yep, studio tools do matter. You have to have the right stuff, and you have to understand how to use them properly also. And there's plenty of YouTube videos and instructional videos, and maybe you're in music school or have gone to music school. And I have some people that I know that have been studying, and they really, they're studying how to record, how to produce music. And you might know a lot of the different factors that are involved. It's not just one thing. If you just buy a $1,000 mic, then all of a sudden everything's perfect. You need to know how to dial it in on your um, preamplifier. You know how to put as much gain, as much volume and gain, so that you can get enough signal, but you don't want to blow out and be in the red when you're recording. So you got to know those tools too. How about guitars? When I was recording acoustic guitar just recently, I realized, do tools matter? One of my favorite tools that I just purchased last year, let me just reach over here, is this Fender Acoustasonic. Fender Acoustasonic. Such a controversial guitar. These hybrid guitars are something that you either love them or you hate them. And I love them because, as some of you might know, if you watch some of my other videos, I play in some other bands where I need to flip between acoustic and electric sounds. And this is something that just came up from Fender. They have an Acoustasonic Telecaster. They have an Acoustasonic Stratocaster in the body shape of a Strat. This is in the Jazzmaster shape, right? And I thought it's pretty cool. But the beauty of this guitar is that you can play it live, just one input. And with this, you can play either acoustic guitar parts, and with this knob here, it's like a tone knob if you're a traditional guitar player, but you can dial in everything from like a certain dreadnought acoustic, for example, and or dial in a little bit more of another kind of acoustic guitar. Here, it's more of like a different kind of like a grand auditorium type size guitar, or better for finger picking, or you can dial in something else, and blend two different acoustic guitars together, and then you can also flip it all the way here, and you're playing electric guitar all the way down the tone. It's like a clean electric sound, and then you ramp it up. It's almost like you have, from what I've read, it's like having a tube screamer in front of an amp and saturating it, so you get that distortion. And the more you pull it all the way up, it makes it very distorted. All right, and there's some other in between sounds. There's other set body sensors here that you can hit. There's other options here for different sounds and combinations. But this is great for live because I can flip between acoustic and electric guitar sounds. And I actually use a Line 6, one of their amplifiers, where it's really like playing through like a PA speaker cabinet, but it looks like an amp. So this is great for that. Now, I thought one of my original songs that I was recording just recently, hey, I'll just plug this in, because when you plug this in, the sounds that you're getting are actually studio recorded. So as they took basically mic'd acoustic sounds and put it in here. So when you're plugging it through a PA system direct into the PA using a direct box, or even right just into a 1/4 inch line in the mixer, it sounds like just a studio guitar because it was recorded in such a way that the digital processing makes it sound that way. And it sounds amazing. So I thought, let me just plug this in and into Logic and through my Universal Audio into the front end, into the 1/4 inch input. And let me just play the acoustic guitar parts. And it sounded good, but, it just wasn't the right vibe. There were some missing harmonics because it's not really an acoustic guitar. Even though these are really nicely modeled sounds, there's something about a really nice acoustic guitar. So what did I do instead? Because I really didn't like the results. I pulled out my real acoustic guitar. And my real acoustic guitar is this guitar right here. This is my Taylor 514 CE. Basically, that means you can plug it in, essentially. You can see there where you plug it in there. And I've had this for, maybe going on 15 years. And this is a little bit smaller than a dreadnought. And it's made really for a combination of finger picking and medium strumming. And it just has a cedar top. See that dark color? It's gotten darker over the years, actually, and opened up a lot. And I was just telling some guys that are interested in guitar that, that's why people like older guitars, because the wood just ages well. All the resins in the guitars, as I've read, they really crystallize and become hard, and it's just solid. It just resonates so well. And this is a cedar top, so it has a nice warm but clear tone with the maple, actually with the mahogany back and sides. And there's nothing like that guitar. Like, for example, let me, I don't know if you can hear that. just has so much rich harmonic content, right? So let me just play the Fender Acoustasonic just to give you an idea. Now remember, I plugged this in, but this is a bass sound. It's very different. A little out of tune there. Sounds pretty good, but it sounds a little thin, definitely thinner, and the harmonic content, it doesn't come across the same way, even when it's plugged in using the modeled digital sound. So what did I do? I took this guitar, I placed this mic in front of it, rolled off at about 40 hertz. So anything in the below 40 hertz was not picked up by this mic. It was cut out. The high pass filter just allowed a certain amount, and it captured it beautifully, and it sat well in the mix. It was going through the Universal Audio preamp here. If you're familiar with Universal Audio, they're very they have this unison preamp technology, which is essentially you can choose one of their plugins. Like for example, I think I chose the LA610 tube preamplifier, and I just juiced it up, and it just sounded rich and clear and full, and imprinted that on the actual recording. With this guitar, with this mic, which made it sound so amazing, with this guitar, which has so many overtones with a real acoustic guitar, it just sounds great, and it was captured. So do studio tools matter? Yeah. That Fender sounds great for certain things, and I've actually used it for other recordings when I'm doing demos and doing other people's work. Sometimes it's quicker and it sounds great. But if you really want to take the time, this studio tool, real acoustic, nothing sounds as good as a real acoustic guitar, mic'd up properly. I didn't aim it at the sound hole. I basically had the AKG 414 just kind of aimed at where the neck joins the body, just aim there. So it's off the sound hole. You don't want it in front of the sound hole. It'll get too boomy, and it sounds clear, crisp. You know those acoustic sounds that you hear on a track on the radio, which it's rich. You can hear the fullness, but it's not boomy. And why do you do it? Why do you want to try to get it right? Some guys record, when I remember when I started out recording, one of the mistakes you do is, you think that, it doesn't have to be perfect when I record it on the front end, because then I can fix it in post-production when I'm mixing. That's not always true. As I've talked to other very experienced mixing and recording engineers and mastering engineers, what they have taught me is that you have to get it right from the beginning. If you can record from the source and get a robust, clear sound, powerful enough so that it can cut through, but not overpowering so that, it's redlining on all your meters. You got to keep it within, a -9, negative, kind of 12, maybe a little bit higher, -8, -6, if you want to get it that high, as far as decibels. But if you can really get everything working properly in the preamplifier, get the mic set up properly, and get the right sounds going in, and get everything set properly in the preamplifier stage, then what's going in is going to sound great, and you're really not going to have to EQ and mess around with it in post production. It's just a beautiful sound. Some of the best albums that you and I have heard, it was just recorded amazingly, and there was very little EQing, changing the highs and lows and the mids and the different frequencies for the instruments. It just sits really well, and there was just really minor tweaking. So I want to encourage you guys to look into studio gear. Doesn't matter. Yeah. How about monitors? I have a pair of Yamaha HS5s, 5-inch woofers that I've used for years. And I decided, this time I got to upgrade to something more, and I was looking at Genelecs. I was looking at different brands, even getting the Yamaha HS8s, which are 8-inch woofers, much bigger, a lot more sound, a lot more bass. But I decided to go with a company called Output. Some of you are familiar with Output, and they have these new monitors called Frontiers, and they have 6.5-inch woofers. And I bought them, and they're definitely much more expensive than the HS5s, the Yamaha HS5s, as a pair, but boy, do they sound great. So what it's done is it's increased some more bass frequency. So as I listen in my, you know, unilateral triangle, if you're setting up your studio, if you're still learning how to do that, you have to set up your speakers from left to right equally, and then in front of you have them aimed at you with the same amount, so it's like an equilateral triangle. And with these speakers, these output frontier speakers, which look beautiful and amazing, by the way, but they sound even better, it's increased my ability to be able to listen to a mix, be able to hear accurately in the room, and be able to make the right adjustments as necessary. So did it cost more? Oh yeah. To up level and to pay more, it absolutely costs more, but it's worth it because it really helps you when you have the right tools. Now, if you're beginning, if you're just a singer songwriter, kind of beginning and kind of dabbling in recording yourself, obviously a lot of this is brand new. I have some people that are amazing singers and they're great songwriters, and they're just kind of beginning, and they have a simple audio interface, which is great. That's fine. Maybe they have something like this, or what's popular now is like the Focusrite Scarlet series. There's 2 channel and I think 4 channel versions. The red boxes, they're great. They're awesome. And that's great to start out. And the sound quality of those that you get out are going to be good. Are they going to be amazing and great? No. But at this point, if you're beginning, you really don't need that kind of uh, gear, because it's really, you're not going to hear the difference yet because you're just kind of figuring it out. But as you learn and progress, for those that you're watching and listening, as you learn more about gear and you train your ear to listen to what's vital in mixes, how should a kick drum sound? How should the bass guitar fit with, for example, the frequency range with the kick drum? As you learn those things, what makes a good electric guitar sound? How do you get those things to sit in the mix? If I have 2 different guitars, should I use the same guitar to record the different parts, or should I use different guitars and different amps? Those are things that really do matter. Those tools do matter, and it's good to have a variety of tools. And remember, even things like the mics, you can use $100 mic, an SM57 or SM58, which have been used for decades to get great sounds. And you'll get great sounds, but you have to understand the tool and how to use it properly and which application it's going to work in best. At the end of the day, as far as guitar gear, music gear, studio equipment, you get what you pay for. But I would only encourage you to up level to what you're doing to get more expensive gear, better quality gear that's going to sonically sound better to your ears and be more up to the industry and professional standards when you're ready to use those tools. If you don't know how to swing a hammer, then don't get the most expensive hammer, at Home Depot, with the biggest nails, right? You got to start somewhere, start small, start simple, and learn. And of course, I know that some of you might be out there and you're singer songwriters and you just want to make music. You're more about the creation of music and inspiration, and you don't want to deal with the little finicky details that I love to research and look into. For different microphones and specifications. How much harmonic distortion does this interface create or not have. There's so many things that I'm into. How many what's the decibel range and frequency range of these speakers, 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz, whatever. Some of you don't care about that stuff. That's okay. But if you're a creative person, a creator of music, and you're looking for people, obviously someone like me, or other people who are who are music producers or mastering engineers, mixing engineers. I know a bunch of people that are professional and able to help. And of course, I would love to help you with your music production. Send me a message, hit me up. I would love to hear from you and be able to help you in your musical gear choices and also in how you create music. If you just want to make music, hey, I would love for you to send for me, as other amazing talented singers, songwriters, and vocalists have done. They've sent me basically just a demo track on their iPhone or on their Android phone, send it to me, and I'm able to use that as a starting point to make a bass track and to help them arrange and write their songs. So maybe that's you. I'd love to help you out. And so, hey, thanks for joining me. Thanks for listening, and hopefully I kept it really simple just for now, and we're just gonna keep it to 30 minutes. But every Sunday, we're gonna have a Sunday fun day with Dr. Love, and I hope to see you next time. Let me know, hit me up, and let me know what you want to do and what you want to talk about, and I'd love to accommodate your comments and your questions. All right. So until next Sunday, I'll see you next time. Have a great week, and hopefully this was helpful. And enjoy your time. Hopefully the spring weather will come out. Have a great week, and we'll see you next Sunday for a Sunday fun day with Dr. Love. Take care.